Weak men ask for respect. Powerful men command it, without uttering a word. In a world where perception is more lethal than truth, the man who acts as if he is superior becomes superior. This video reveals the brutal strategy behind projecting dominance, even when you're not at the top. Yet, power does not wait for the deserving. It flows, like blood, to those who seize it. In this cold theater of life, men are not valued for who they are, but for who they appear to be. You must learn to wear the mask, not of humility, but of unshakable superiority. The timid will call it arrogance. Let them. In this lesson, we will enter the mind of the strategist who understands. You do not ask to be great. You behave as though greatness is already yours. And in doing so, you will watch the world bow, uncertain whether it is your presence or their fear that commands them. In the theater of power, truth is optional. Perception, crafted, honed, and ruthlessly managed, is the true sovereign. You don't rise by being the best. You rise by appearing to be the best before you are. Now, ask yourself, when a man walks into a room and all heads turn, is it because of what he is, or because of what he projects? The masses, your rivals, even your allies, do not see you clearly. They see the image you give them, and they react to it. So the question is not, am I good enough? It is, what image do they fear enough to follow? Let us turn to history. Consider Caesar Borgia, a man born not a king, but into a fractured web of Italian principalities, popes, and betrayal. He understood early merit earns applause. But command is won through fear, spectacle, and the illusion of inevitability. Before Borgia conquered, he performed conquest. Dressed in blood-red armor, surrounded by brutal enforcers, he moved as though God himself had written his fate. Was he invincible? No, but he moved like it. And so his enemies treated him like a force of nature, until it became true. This is the Machiavellian law. Dominate perception before you dominate reality, because reality will follow. Now, bring this forward. Look at your world. The businessman who walks into the boardroom wearing a 10,000 suit, speaking slowly, confidently. Do you measure his ideas first? No, you submit to the aura. You lean in. And even if you're smarter, even if you know more, you hesitate. Why? Because power, performed correctly, paralyzes challenge. And most people, they don't seek truth. They seek a signal of who is in charge. So ask yourself, how do you enter a room? How do you speak? How do you move when no one is yet watching? Are you rehearsing greatness in silence? Or are you waiting for permission to shine? The man who waits to be seen will be overlooked. The man who acts like he cannot be ignored never is. But let us dive deeper into the psychology. In human behavior, there exists something called the authority bias. It's simple: people trust, follow, and defer to those who seem authoritative, even when they are wrong. Why? Because the mind is lazy. It shortcuts truth. It chooses familiarity, status cues, and confidence as substitutes for competence. You see a man dressed like a general giving orders, and your instinct obeys, long before your logic questions it. Confidence, repeated with consistency, becomes identity. Identity, when mirrored by others, becomes reality. So, the strategist never shows hesitation in public. He saves his doubts for midnight hours, alone in silence. Outwardly, he is unshakable. This is not arrogance. It is preemptive dominance. You must teach others how to treat you. And that teaching begins with how you treat yourself in their presence. If you walk as though you belong at the center, they will rearrange the circle to include you. If you speak as though your voice carries weight, they will lean in, before they even understand your words. Even your silence, if held with purpose, becomes louder than another man's pleas. But there's danger here, isn't there? If it's all performance, if it's all illusion, What if you're exposed? Here's the answer. You won't be. If you never stop performing. The curtain never falls for the ruler. He becomes the role he plays. You don't fake it until you make it. You fake it until it becomes truth. And by then, it's no longer fake. So ask again, who are you becoming through the act you perform each day? What mask have you chosen? And more importantly, does the world fear it yet? Because until they do, you're not playing the game. You're just watching from the crowd. Now that you see the stage and understand the costume required to rise, let us move forward to the scent of weakness and how predators, like you, can use it to rule without mercy. End of segment. They can smell it on you. Before you speak, before you even sit down, they know. Not because you told them, but because you leaked it. Insecurity is not a flaw. It's a signal. And in the jungle of human behavior, every signal has consequences. The moment you hesitate, you bleed. Do you think lions hesitate when they roar? Do you believe a king pauses to ask if he's worthy of his crown? The answer is no, because in nature and in power, the appearance of doubt is an invitation to be challenged, ignored, dismissed, or devoured. You were taught to be yourself. But what if yourself is still unproven? What if that self is riddled with hesitation, fear, the quiet stench of needing validation? Let me be clear, you are not safe when you are vulnerable. You are exposed. And exposure, without leverage, is fatal. Look around. In every room you enter, people are sniffing for hierarchy. Who leads? Who folds? Who watches instead of acts? They don't do this consciously. It's instinctual. But it's relentless. The nervous twitch in your jaw, the rapid glance to see if you're being approved of. That quiet tone in your voice, asking rather than asserting. You've already told them, I can be ignored. And once they believe that, nothing else matters. Even if you have the right answer, the strongest strategy, the sharpest idea, they won't listen. Because your posture said, please, accept me. Instead of you're lucky I walked in. Now, let's revisit history. Consider Emperor Tiberius, a man so inwardly plagued by paranoia and self-doubt that even in victory, he appeared haunted. He didn't hide his fear. He concealed his thoughts, yes, but not the energy of fear, and so the Senate mocked him. Generals whispered. Assassins plotted. Despite his power, they knew something he didn't want them to know, that he feared them more than they feared him. And in that silent revelation, he lost control. Contrast that with someone like Napoleon, a man who knew how to radiate certainty even when the odds were stacked against him. He lost battles, but he never looked uncertain, because he understood the man who appears to hesitate will never be followed by men who want to win. Now turn the gaze inward. How often do you flinch? Not physically, but emotionally, socially. Do you downplay your opinion? Apologize before making a point. Seek reassurance when you should be establishing dominance. Each of these on their own seems small, harmless. But in the collective theater of power, every minor insecurity you reveal is a vote against your own authority. People don't trust the unsure. They tolerate them until something better arrives. And trust this, something better always arrives. So what is the solution? Do not become perfect. That is impossible. Become unreadable. Do not deny your fears. Mask them. Do not eliminate doubt. Bury it behind a still face and a steady voice. No one can know what you're thinking if your expression is made of stone. No one can judge your value if you never offer it up for evaluation. Learn the art of composure. When you are unsure, pause, but never tremble. When you are questioned, smile, but never justify. Train your body language to become sovereign, your eyes still, your tone level, your presence undeniable. This, over time, becomes more than a performance. It becomes a signal to others that you are not prey. And that is enough. People don't challenge the unreadable. They speculate. They respect. And eventually they obey. You may be uncertain inside. That is normal. But make it your religion to ensure that no one ever sees it. You think power belongs to the best. No, it belongs to the most convincing. And convincing people starts with removing all signs of uncertainty. So ask yourself, when they look at you, do they see someone who is wondering if they belong? Or someone who decides the temperature of the room by simply walking in? Because in the next segment, we'll dismantle the final myth. That respect is earned. No, it is built like a weapon, and I will show you how to wield it. End of segment. They told you respect must be earned. Through kindness, through patience, through good deeds and noble effort. They lied. Respect is not earned, it is engineered. It is constructed, like a fortress, brick by brick, not from virtue, but from intention. Ask yourself, do kings earn the right to rule from the people? Or do they assert their place and demand recognition, whether they are worthy or not? Power never waits for validation, and those who do are forgotten. Now understand this: people do not respect you because you are good. They respect you because you force them to consider the cost of disrespect. There is a difference, a dangerous difference. Let us begin with a story. During the rise of the Medici in Florence, many underestimated Cosimo. He dressed modestly, spoke softly, avoided grand displays. But make no mistake, he was engineering respect at every step. He funded allies, controlled banks, and placed his men in positions of influence. He didn't ask for admiration. He didn't wait for gratitude. He built a system where the cost of opposing him was financial ruin. No blood was spilled, no swords were raised. But respect, it was total, strategic, engineered. Now compare that to the modern man. He works hard, speaks kindly, seeks approval. He believes, foolishly, that if he performs well enough, others will respect him. They won't. Because effort is invisible without power. And goodness, when unguarded, invites only exploitation. So how do you engineer respect? You begin with boundaries. Not soft ones. Not negotiable lines. But firm walls. You teach people how to treat you. By punishing the first violation with precision. That's not cruelty. It's structure. If someone interrupts you, correct them. If they minimize your value, disengage immediately. Every time you let a slight pass unchallenged, you broadcast a message of, I am safe to disrespect. The world sees this, and they respond accordingly. You must also create distance. Never allow constant access. Do not explain yourself. Do not be overly available. Because the more they see of you, the less they respect. Mystery creates tension. Tension creates value. And value is the foundation of engineered respect. Now let us speak of silence. The man who fills every space with words is not respected. He is tolerated. The one who waits to speak, who weighs his words like gold. He commands attention. This is why generals don't shout. They whisper, because everyone leans in when power speaks softly. You must also master selective generosity. Give, but never to be liked. Give to control. Your favors should come with weight, with timing, with purpose. When people benefit from you, make it known this was no accident. This was a choice, and choices can change. This creates leverage, and leverage is the architecture of respect. Understand the psychology beneath it all. Human beings are wired to respond to hierarchy. We sense dominance. We look for cues. We assign value based not on truth, but on posture, presence, and perceived cost. If challenging you comes with no cost, they will do it. Often, without hesitation. But if your silence cuts deeper than their insults, if your gaze alone makes them rethink their tone, then you've begun to construct true respect, not love, not affection, but compliance born from calculation. You want people to think twice before crossing you, not because you'll react emotionally, but because you never do. Because your response is always precise, controlled, and surgical, and they can't predict it. Fear, in moderation, is a powerful supplement to respect. So, discard the illusion that respect is handed down like a trophy. It's not. It's seized, shaped, systematically imposed. You must become a figure of consequence. Not a man they like, a man they don't dare ignore. Now consider this. Have you built enough distance, enough tension, enough consequence? That if you disappeared, your absence would echo, because the next layer is even more potent. Respect is not just engineered through presence. It is amplified through narrative. And in the next segment, we will dissect the strategy of repetition and how to bend reality itself by rewriting belief. End of segment. Say a lie once, and they doubt you. Say it often, and they begin to question themselves. Repeat it endlessly, and one day they call it truth. This is not magic, it is psychology. Control the narrative, and you control the minds that live within it. Now, ask yourself, do you define how people see you? Or have you let them decide for themselves? Because those who do not shape perception become prisoners of it. Let us begin with an example burned into the pages of history. Julius Caesar. He was not born a god. He was not even born into total power. But he repeated a story, relentlessly, that he was the people's man, that the republic was broken, that he alone could fix it. He said it in speeches, in letters, in statues and public games. He wrote the script and made Rome repeat it back to itself. And when the Senate tried to brand him a tyrant, he had already filled the minds of Rome with a louder narrative, one spoken so often, so confidently, that even his enemies began to believe it. The lesson: he who controls the story wins the war before the swords leave their sheaths. Now, observe the world around you. Who do people believe? Not the one who is right, the one who speaks with rhythm, with volume, with consistency, the one who repeats a message with such certainty that to oppose it feels like madness. This is the law of social hypnosis. The brain prefers repetition over accuracy. It rewires itself to believe what it hears most, and what it hears most rules it. So how does the strategist use this? You begin by defining your identity with force. Do not describe yourself. Declare yourself. You are not trying to be confident. You are unshakable. You are not working on being respected. You are respected. Act it, say it, live it, and then repeat in public, in body language and tone, until others stop questioning your image and start repeating it for you. Understand this: if people do know what to think of you, they will fill in the blanks with their own biases. And usually, those biases will work against you. But if you speak first, loudly, clearly, often, they will default to your version. Because the human mind takes comfort in certainty, even if it's artificial. Let me give you another real example. Corporate leaders do this constantly. The CEO who says, "We are the most innovative company in the world," repeats it in interviews, internal memos, public statements. Whether it's true doesn't matter. Over time, employees begin to believe it. Customers believe it. Investors believe it. Why? Because repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity breeds belief. The mind mistakes frequency for fact. And you, if you are wise, can weaponize that. But bewaring repetition is power, and like all power, it must be used deliberately. Do not flood the world with noise. Repeat the right story, with precision, with timing, with design. Don't say too much. Say the same thing until it becomes undeniable. What do you want to be known for? Write it. Say it. Align every action with it. And above all, never contradict your own myth. Because once they believe the version you've written, they will defend it for you. Your reputation becomes self-sustaining. A machine, a myth, a fortress. And once your myth has taken root, even your mistakes are reinterpreted through its lens. They'll say you were testing, not failing. They'll say your silence was strategic, not afraid. They'll explain away your flaws, because they need their version of you to remain intact. This is true control. Now ask yourself, what story are you telling? Do you command the perception others hold of you? Or are you still waiting for truth to rise on its own? Because truth, without repetition, dies quietly. But a well-crafted lie, repeated with unwavering confidence, becomes a religion, and those who question it are called heretics. So craft carefully, speak deliberately, repeat until the echo becomes a thunder, and then silence. Because what comes next is presence alone. In the next segment, we'll enter the final arena, where battles are no longer fought through words, but through sheer presence, and where dominance begins before the first move is made. End of segment. Control is most effective when it is invisible, not through force, not through begging, but through influence so subtle they believe it was their idea. You've seen how power is performed, how weakness is hidden, how respect is designed, not deserved. You've learned that repetition, applied with precision, rewrites reality. Now ask yourself, have you been controlled without ever knowing? More importantly, are you ready to reverse it? Because the greatest rulers in history never raised a sword until the war was already won. They shaped minds, they shaped narratives, they shaped belief. And belief, once captured, is harder to kill than any army. So move in silence, shape what they see, repeat what must be believed, and watch how the world adjusts itself around your image. Now, choose your next move. Comment below, what mask will you wear? Subscribe for more strategies of the mind, cold, sharp, and timeless. And share this with someone who still thinks power is about being nice. Let them see what true control looks like before they become its victim. End of outro.